What's up, you guys? It's Steve here, and take a look at this. Biden and Democrats should be absolutely terrified by the new poll numbers. We're hearing if Biden does not do something to bring down inflation, bring down the cost of gas and groceries, if he doesn't send out stimulus checks without adding to debt and inflation, or send out child tax credits, get rid of the student loan debt like he had promised, if he does not do something, it is over. It is bye-bye Biden and Democrats. This is your stimulus check update, stimulus package update, and breaking news update. Now, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and I've got some video footage for you that is really good. We've got some perspectives of a Democratic analyst and also Republican analyst, and they don't get too political. They really break this down from an analytical perspective, and it is really insightful. They're saying, both sides are saying, listen, if President Joe Biden and Democrats don't come through with something that the American people are actually tangibly going to be able to experience that's helping better their lives, it's pretty much a done deal. President Joe Biden and Democrats are going to be in trouble. As take a look at the headlines coming out right now, you guys. Americans grade President Biden as inflation hits a 40-year record high. Rising inflation has made it more expensive to eat at home. As also, U.S. mortgage interest rates top 5%. Buyers look to lock in those rates right now because can the Federal Reserve stamp out this inflation right now without causing a recession? Well, recession shock is coming, warns Bank of America. Recession is now the most likely outcome for the U.S. economy, not a soft landing, Larry Summers says. And Fed's Waller sees the likelihood now of multiple half-point interest rate hikes ahead. We had heard quarter points. As interest rates are starting to go up, you're losing value of purchasing power for items. Well, they're saying they need to up it even more. I've been letting people know here on the channel, if we're experiencing the same inflation we did in the 1980s, those interest rates went well up into the double digits. We just went from 3% to 5% on mortgage rates. We have got a ways to go if we are going to be able to combat this. And you guys, in addition to that, we've also heard Russia warns of now nuclear threats, hypersonic deployment if Sweden and Finland join NATO, as things are just intensifying on the other side of the world. So there is a lot going on. And as I shared with you in my previous video, we're hearing that there is a new wave of the BA.2 variant that has hit the United States, and we're starting to see cases increase. So things are getting pretty intense. There's a lot happening. And as I mentioned, we heard that if President Joe Biden and Democrats don't get something done, it's going to be bye-bye Biden. And also progressives are calling on him to just do executive orders and executive actions, just get something done. So you guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you think they're going to pull through and get things done? Are they going to be losing power? Is nothing going to get done? What do you think, you guys? Well, we're going to take a look at this video footage and get you caught up on the latest. But before we dive in, if you could do me a quick favor, and it's simply if you enjoy the content, staying up to date on everything going on with these videos, if you could just take a quick second to smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm, I would appreciate it. It helps me out a ton. Thank you so much. Also, leave your comments, share this out if you think it could be helpful for other people. If this is your first time here and you'd like to stay up to date on everything going on, totally free. So why not? Just smash that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell. You can come join the Ram fam. I'll keep you up to date on everything going on. And if you got any specific questions for me, I'm actually very easy to access. All you got to do is hop onto Instagram, shoot me a DM at SteveRam3, and I'll do my best to get you any answers to any questions that you might have. And consider joining my second channel, Steve Ram Finance, to learn about growing wealth and personal finance. But with that being said, you guys, let's go ahead and dive into the video footage so we can hear the perspectives of a Democratic and a Republican analyst that actually both agree, hey, he's got to get stuff done. Let's go ahead and take a look.
Since rising prices are a key concern for Latinx Americans, it is perhaps absolutely no surprise to anyone at home to see that only 26% of Latinx adults approve of Joe Biden's performance as president. Among young adults, it's even worse, a 21% approval rating. And for American adults overall, it's only 33%. That focus on lowering prices is one of the reasons why President Biden is speaking at a historically black college in the state of North Carolina today to promote legislation to strengthen U.S. manufacturing and lower inflation. But will this legislation make it through the Congress? And will it be enough to address voters' concerns before the November midterm elections? Joining us now, Juanita Tolliver, Democratic strategist, Susan Del Percio, Republican strategist. And ladies, Juanita, I'll start with you. How much could voter concerns about inflation and supply chain issues affect the midterm elections coming up very, very soon.
Zerlina, it's the entire ball game. And since President Biden assumed office, it's the one thing that I said he needed to do is make people's lives tangibly better. Make sure their day-to-day experience is better under him than the last guy, because that's what's going to ride on the midterms as well as 2024. And right now, I think the White House is starting to recalibrate. They recognize that people's needs aren't being met. They recognize that their historic economic gains are being eaten up by historic inflation and rising costs in food and housing and energy. And so now I think they're going to try to take bite-sized efforts to combat inflation. We see the president releasing oil every day. We see him requesting waivers for ethanol 15 gas, but there's still more they can do, whether legislatively on top of the Bipartisan Innovation Act, putting forth another push to get an extended child care tax credit, which we know lifted millions of children and their families out of poverty, as well as efforts like canceling student loan debt, which he has already promised to do. It's those efforts that will make sure people are experiencing something different, seeing something different in their bank accounts in real time.
It's such an important point. It's like we've talked a lot about messaging and what's the right message for Democrats for particular communities, but it feels like the tangible results, that kind of helps you with your messaging problem. And Susan, let's talk about Latinx voters specifically. What do Democrats need to do to address these pocketbook issues in general and the concerns that these voters are having, like gas prices and the cost of everyday items that you need, shortages on baby formula? I mean, the list goes on and on.
Yeah, Zerlina, I've been fortunate to see quite a few polls and focus groups regarding the Hispanic community and how they're feeling towards these very issues. And one thing I can say is that they are putting the blame on Democrats. What they want to see are clear results. I am not saying this is correct, okay? So for the record, I'm not saying this is right. But there is a perception out there that Donald Trump was better on the economy. And that is just, it's borne out in the numbers and it's borne out in the facts. Of course, there wasn't a supply chain issue the way it was when Donald Trump was president. There are a lot of issues. And frankly, when we talk about inflation, I think the president has to be a little careful here, President Biden, because he can't combat inflation. He can do other things to lower the costs for everyday for people, like what Juanita was talking about, like a tax credit, like student debt forgiveness. But really, this issue of inflation lies with the Fed. They are going to raise rates. It's been said that instead of 1/4%, they're moving it to 0.5%, which will cause other issues down the road. But these are things that only the Fed can do. My other concern, and this is messaging, is that the idea of inflation is very 30,000 feet. When you start asking questions about the cost of everyday items, that's what the administration and Congress should be focusing on, how to address the costs of everyday items. And I do believe that the president's message on expanding competition is a good one. It's something that is kind of goes to the core of American values. So it wouldn't be surprising to see him use that a little bit more, because, again, that also talks about everyday items, not this big idea of inflation.
So Susan said something really, really interesting right then, where she said that the focus groups that you've seen, they're blaming the Democrats, and you noted that that's not correct, which I think is important, because Republicans, they're supposed to be governing too, they're not. So like that's sort of the premise we're all acknowledging as a fact before we start this conversation. So that's important to say. But to that point, Juanita, should Democrats spend any time at all messaging around the fact that Republicans are not governing at all? Right? They're not participating in coming up with legislative solutions to tackle some of these rising costs and inflation. Is that a waste of time? Do they just focus on what they're doing and skip over the fact that the reason why nothing is passing through Congress is not just, Joe Manchin and Sinema, but that all of the Republicans are really out to lunch in terms of governing and passing legislation?
I think it is absolutely a good use of time, Zerlina, because what we know is that Republicans have been on the sidelines. They were on the sidelines with major components of the Build Back Better Act. They were blocking it every step of the way. And Democrats absolutely need to call that out. And not just that, think about the American Rescue Plan, which a lot of people are still benefiting from, and our economy is still benefiting from. And Republicans sat on the sideline there. So Democrats have no shortage of examples to pull from, and they absolutely should call out Republicans. And we know they're starting to do that with Rick Scott's latest plan for American Rescue, where they have tested it with focus groups that say this is highly unpopular to talk about ending Medicare, ending Social Security, and ending the Affordable Care Act. This is something that they need to drill down on and do it at the local level so that people can see the real impact, see the real devastation that Republican power in Congress would have on their communities. So spend time on it, Democrats, if you're watching. Spend a lot of time on hitting Republicans.
So there you have it, you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Now, as I mentioned, we've heard that Build Back Better is coming back to the forefront, but we're hearing there's opposition from those moderate Democrats, Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin, as we heard them mention. Also, we're hearing that there are 4 different gas stimulus check bills currently in the White House being taken into consideration, and we're hearing they want to pass over $10 billion of pandemic funds to help combat this new wave that's on the way. There's a lot unfolding. Midterm elections are this year, which is making it more likely we're going to be seeing a whole lot more legislation rolling out. I'll keep you up to date on all of this so that way you know what's going on and what might be made available to you. And as always, you guys, thank you so much for joining me here on the channel. If you made it this far and you haven't already, don't forget, smash the like button. Helps me out a ton. Thank you so much. Leave your comments, share this out. If you want to stay up to date, come join the Bram fam, totally free. All you got to do is hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell, ask me questions on Instagram at SteveRam3. Consider joining the second channel, Steve Ram Finance, to learn about growing wealth and personal finance. And with that being said, you guys, thank you so much for joining me on this Good Friday. Hope that you and the family have a blessed weekend, and I will catch you in the next video. Take care. God bless. This is Steve.